Hello artists, welcome back for another drawing tutorial. Today we're getting ready for Thanksgiving and the traditional food of turkey. And we're going to explore drawing a turkey today, and I have some tips and tricks for you to help you make it a fun drawing experience. So I'm going to probably use the markers and maybe some crayons, and I'm also thinking I might, since we've been practicing with watercolors, be doing some watercolor eventually in my drawings. So let's go ahead and get started. I have this illustration of a turkey. It's not exactly scientific, but it gives us the basics. It's not, of the parts that we need. So today when we start, we're going to think about the feathers for the tail and the back as our starting point, and then we'll add the head and belly and wing to that shape. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the marker. So I'm going to use a brown marker for my drawing. Just because turkeys are mostly brown in color, brown and black with a little bit of pink on the legs, red on the wattle, maybe reddish pink here behind the eyes. So now I know a lot of you have probably done a turkey where you traced your hand and you went up and down around the fingers. Well, we're not going to go up and down around the fingers, but we're going to use our hand, and so this, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to sort of spread my hand out. Now my hand is bigger, so I can't spread it out. If your hand is small, well, maybe I can. Yeah. So if your hand is smaller, you can really open it up, but that's going to give us the shape of the back and the feathers. So I'm going to come with a dot on the bottom and the dot on the top, and then I'm just going to take that and I'm going to go around with a big curved line. Okay? So I'm going to come around, and I'm going to let my line wave a little bit. It's going to squiggle. It's not going to be perfectly straight. Okay? So I've got this sort of curving line that goes around. And now I'm going to put the head and belly on. So to do that, I'm going to make a backwards lowercase f. So let's bring this up a little closer here. So I like to do it with this part here. So I'm going to start about here and come down. So it's sort of like a candy cane almost. We're not quite at candy cane season. Don't go there yet. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the eye and this section here. It's sort of like an upside down raindrop that's not perfectly straight, right? And then I'm going to make the bill. Now to do the bill, I'm going to put a dot here underneath the eyes, not a big one. See how little that dot is there? And then I'm going to put another one, and their bills are pretty long, so I'm going to put it out here. Okay? And then I'll draw a line that connects those two dots, and I'm going to put a V, like an arrow, at this end, and connect it to the top of the candy cane there. And now I'm going to come from the V on the top to the end of the beak, or the bill, and then from the bottom to the end of the bill, right? Now, the tom turkey, the male turkey, has the snood on top of the bill. And we can think of that as just sort of a curved line that comes across there. And then it has the red wattle underneath. So that's just like a big letter U underneath. I'm going to draw the rest of the neck before I put that wattle in, though, because I think otherwise it's going to be a little weird. So I'm going to come up from the bill and then down. So this is just another tinier candy cane. And then I'm going to put the wattle with like a letter U. Okay. And I'm going to close the bottom of the neck here. And then I'm going to bring the belly across, and going to start with this curved line here. And I'm noticing that it doesn't go all the way over because we've got the wing. So I'm going to start up a little ways on the neck and come around, nice big belly. Now I'm thinking my wing is going to overlap with this part of the tail feathers that I did here. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that in. I want it to be nice and big. And I'm just going to let it overlap with that line that I drew. And then I'm going to use a curved line to close the wing. And then coming from the wing, I'm going to come up and around. Another big wide looping candy cane for the back. And it's going to come down here. Okay. All right. Now, I feel like I need to get some feathers into the wing and into the tail, or the feeling of feathers, a pattern or a texture that makes feathers. So I do like how this artist illustrated with these short feathers, and there's this shape that they drew. So I'm going to go ahead and use that idea. But instead of using these straight lines, I want to use feather shapes. So I'm actually going to draw like a bunch of U's or W's inside of there. And then I'm going to make these outside ones a bit bigger. Right, so it feels feather-ish. Now I'm noticing that they show the back and that these feathers here would be a different color than these feathers. So I'm going to add that line because I don't have that yet, just sort of a curved line, and I'm going to make it wiggly. So there will be some black feathers, it says, in that section. Now I like that, since I did that, used that line in the wing, I think I'm going to use those lines that are here in the tail feathers as well to help me create the patterns. So we've got a couple rows. It's got 2 rows of really skinny narrow. So I'm just going to follow right along the line that I made. And I want to keep it kind of close. And then I'm just going to go back again a second time. Okay, and then, so there's these 2, and then there's this medium, and then large. So I'm going to do, so these were really skinny, so I'm going to do this one about a finger's width so that it's wider. Then it got a little narrow in some places, and that's okay. So now I'm going to make big feathers in this section, medium feathers in this section, and then some small in the next one. So I'm just going with that like an M shape, curved M, lowercase m. It's a line that goes up and down. And it's a bird. I'm not worried if it touches exactly. They're all going to be a little bit different. So now let's see here. This says brown feathers for this section, black feathers for this section. I think this one was brown. So we have sort of a pattern. Black, brown, black, brown, black. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my marker. and draw, even though I didn't do black and white in the wings. I might just go over top of that. So these are going to be black. And I'm going to make them medium-shaped feathers. And I'm going to let them overlap with the back tail feathers here a little bit so that it feels like they are in front of. So another row of takes a little bit of concentration. I can't talk and make feathers at the same time. So I'm going to do this last row of black feathers on the outside. Ooh. All right. Woo. And then I've got a row of these little brown ones in here. It's kind of fun making these. I'm also enjoying the visual texture and pattern that these feathers are creating as my eyes are looking at it. All right. So let's see here. It says it has a black eye, so I'm going to go ahead and color the eye, and I'm going to leave just a little bit of white on there so that it has a little bit of life to it. And then we have this, it says dark beard bristly feathers. So that comes out here, and so I'm just going to use this black since it's a dark beard. Bristly feathers. To me that says texture like this. So a little bit different than this texture that I'm using here. Doesn't say it's big. Now this says that it has black and gray feathers. I think what I'm going to try to find, I don't know if I have it or not. No, I don't have a gray crayon, but I do have a white crayon. And I'm going to use a little bit of wax resist. And I'm going to put some white feathers with the crayon onto here. Pressing nice and hard. Notice all the little crayon crumbs that I can wipe off. Right. Before I go to the watercolor, I'm going to do the red wattle, and I'm going to use the crayon for that. And reddish pink on the back of the head. I have this red violet crayon, so I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to mix and blend and put a little bit of this pink on there. And one more time in with a mix and blend, and I'm going to mix and blend some red into that. Now it doesn't tell me, but I'm thinking that this part is a brown, And I'm going to do that with a brown crayon. And some of you might be a little panicked at the moment because we have not yet done the legs. Pink legs and feet. So I'm going to use the crayon for that. And I'm going to come here in front of the belly. And I'm going to make 2 parallel lines that come down. And then I'm going to make a series of zigzag lines or V's. So I'm going to come out, forward, backwards, forward, backwards. They have 4 claws, like that. And there's a little spiky piece. And I'm going to give them some texture on there. And then the second leg behind the body, so I don't see as much of it. It's going to be overlapped a little bit, and mine is going to fall off the page. Do I have 4 claws there? Kind of, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go with that, and then I'm going to just do a real quick little bit of watercolor here, and you can do some marker magic where you add water to the marker, and it's going to activate both the brown marker that I used for the outline and the brown and the black that I used in that layer. And I'm going to do them layer by layer, and if you got to be careful of how much water, right? And some people find that their paper or their markers, if you don't use a washable marker, it definitely doesn't work. But sometimes different kinds of paper don't allow this to work as well as other kinds of paper, so you sort of have to experiment. Make sure you wipe your brush so you don't have too much water. You don't want it dripping, right? And then I am going to use, I have a watercolor set here with some brown watercolor in it, so I'm going to do a bit of brown. No, oh, that's right. This was black and gray feathers in here, so I need to use black paint, but I don't need a lot of black paint because I want it to be a little bit gray, right? So I'm just going to come across and reveal. Make sure if you're doing painting that your brush just tickles the paper, right? Don't press too hard. And I want to stay away from my bristly. And then I'm going to do the beak. Now the snood, I'm not sure what color that is. It doesn't tell me the color, so I'm just going to activate some of the brown and make it a light brown. So, and then you need to decide, is your turkey out in a field and it needs some grass? Does it need trees behind it? Are there going to be flowers yet out in the field? I know it's autumn, so maybe there are going to be some autumn leaves on the ground. What will be on the ground around your turkey? So I hope you enjoy creating a turkey to celebrate autumn and Thanksgiving, and imagining what are you going to turn your turkey into. Is your turkey going to become a pet, or is your turkey going to become dinner? And maybe I'm going to do a pumpkin over here because I'm thinking about pumpkin pie after my turkey dinner, right? So please share your artworks with me. If you draw a turkey, I would love to see it. And have a great creative time expressing what you are experiencing this season. See you soon.